Do you want to know the fastest way to get 100K in business funding? Well, today we're going to talk about it. Let's go straight into it. Here's the fastest way to get 100K in funding. You're talking to someone or you're hearing from someone that has gotten over 100 clients, over six figures in funding, and also just from the range of 50 to 150K, hundreds of clients that we funded up to this point, and over 5+ million just year to date. So I've been around the block. I kind of know what I'm doing when it comes to this, just to let you know. However, let's go to the meat of it. I ain't ending this out. You want 100K in 0% funding in 30 days or less, maybe even less, maybe even a week. Well, it comes down to one word: relationships. Well, really two words: relationships and qualified. Are you qualified, and do you have the relationships? Working from the relationships that you already have established with the banks will get you funded the fastest. That's the fastest way to get there, to build off the strength of the relationships that you already have. For example, my client Rasul got 90K in less than 48 hours by getting 50K of funding from just one bank that he already had a relationship with. So I literally took him from where he was. He didn't know I existed 48 hours prior, and then he got 90K in funding. So all relationships are not equal, though. So this is not going to work for every single person, right? So you must understand which banks will give you funding the fastest for your profile and those who won't. Now, the banks with your best relationships are likely to give you the highest limits, but again, it does depend on the bank. All right, before we get there, let's make sure that you're actually qualified so you get there the fastest as well. Because look, you clicked on this to know the fastest way to get funding, right? The absolute fastest way to get 100K in business funding, your first 100K. All right, or it could be your second 100K to get to that 200K mark. Here are the requirements. Normally want a 750 plus score. Really, I would say 700 plus. 750 plus score is preferred because you do not have to have 750 plus to get 100K. You do not, but it's preferred. 3 to 9% credit utilization. A lot of people are going to say 30%. They may say 20, whatever the case. I'm telling you, I've seen over many clients, many different data points at this point. But you want to have single digit utilization for the best results. I can promise you that. I've done 15%, done 20%, and it does nothing but lower your limits on the business side. Think about it like this. On the business side, when you're using your business credit cards, your funding for your business, when the banks see it, they're going to view it as this person is using their money to grow their business. Another bank may want a piece of that because they're like, oh, shoot, he's spending his money. He or she's spending their money on their business. If I get them approved, they're likely to spend money with us too. But on the personal side, if your utilization is 30%, 50%, 90% even, good luck getting a cantaloupe on credit. All right, good luck getting a peanut on credit because you're going to straight up get denied for everything. And even at the higher utilization rates, like 20% or something like that, good luck there too because you may be approved, but you're going to get your limit slashed. If you're looking to get a high limit 0% business credit card, then you want your utilization to be as low as possible. I could do a whole video on credit utilization and the correlation I've seen with limits, approvals, so on and so forth. And I may do that. Credit history, 5+ years for best results. Can you do 3 years? Absolutely. But if you're like 6 months or something like that, even adding an authorized user is not going to get you to 100K in 2 days, like my client Rasul did, or in less than 30 days. It's not going to get you there. Highest limit on your personal credit cards, 10K plus. 25K plus is even better, or 20K, even 15 or something is better. Not required, but we're talking about getting you there the fastest, so you want to be the most qualified. It ain't going to just happen out of nowhere. I'm not somebody that's on YouTube to try to make it seem like everyone can just pop out and just get 100K in business funding just because you exist. It's not the truth. Don't believe it. Don't take my word for it though. Just try yourself. If you at, your highest limit, it's only like $500, then try to do it yourself and see what happens. No negatives. Have we had clients get approved with negatives? Yes. I could even show you some here in my group that have gotten approved and they had late payments, older late payments and things like that. However, for the most part, you really don't want to deal with that. If you can help it, go ahead and try to get those removed first before applying. This could be student loan late payments. It could be collections, any type of collection, medical collection, cable bill from Comcast that you end up paying, right, when you switch that apartment. I know. Yeah, I know. It could be a general late payment, right? It could be a repossession. It could be a bankruptcy, whatever is on your credit reports that is considered negative from an open or closed account. Open or closed. Keep that in mind, y'all. It's not always about the accounts that you have active. It could be those closed accounts too. So make sure that you checking that. If you close the account, it doesn't mean it's over with. That it don't count anymore. Anything that's on your credit reports that's negative, you want to try to get it off first before applying for business funding. If you want to get there the fastest, that's what we'll be talking about, right? We getting 100K the fastest way possible. All right. Now, business can be new, preferred 2+ years. It's going to help if you have a tenured business. All right. But it can be brand new. We've gotten clients funded. I have a client. I was talking to them on the phone when their business started. We got everything set up that day. Later on that day, we got 28K in funding just in that same day. All right. And then they at 150K now. But the business was the business was brand new. I ain't editing this out. The business was brand new. It's possible. So I'm not saying that you can't, but I am saying it's preferred to be 2+ years. You want to have some cash to show liquidity to the lenders too as well, 3 to 5K plus. There's ways around this. I'm going to make a video about this too as well, because you don't want to come in expecting 100K with $0 in cash. Is it technically possible? I wouldn't say technically. Yes, I guess. Well, let me say, like, when I say this cash, 3 to 5K in cash, because to some of y'all, you be like, boy, stop. I ain't got no 3K, Colin. I don't have no 5K. I got like $200 in this business checking account. I got 500 here in my personal account, whatever. Look, what I'm saying is the more cash that you have available to you, the easier it is to build and establish business checking relationships, or just relationships in general with the banks that you're looking to get funding from. There's ways around this. You don't have to you could liquidate a card. You could use a personal loan. There's different things that you can do to get access to cash, but you want to do it first. All right. You just have to be strategic with it. We help clients do this all the time. Okay. All the time. Business revenue can be absolute $0. You haven't made a red penny in your business yet. But if you're already making money, it's preferred because it's going to be easier to get funding for a business that's doing 15, 25K plus a month currently. If you have established business relationships with major institutions, major banks, like a Chase Bank, like a Bank of America, like a Truist, like a Citizens Bank, a PNC, those types of banks, if you already have established relationships with them, or American Express or something, then it's going to help you get there even quicker, okay? Because we're looking to get there as soon as possible, in 48 hours, all right? How could you get 100K in funding in 48 hours? Matter of fact, that's going to be the new title of this. All right, sometimes I come up with the titles as I'm going through, but I already had this information laid out for y'all. Look, business relationships. There are some banks that are not beneficial. Now that we've talked about, how to be qualified, if you have this, you should be pretty much good to go. Like, of course, there's some other variables, obviously, but these are the main variables you need to be qualified to get this business funding. If you have these things, you're very close to this, you should be able to get it done with direction. Especially if you don't know what you're doing, you get with me, then we'll get there. But even if you didn't have me, you should be able to get there if you qualify, you know what you're doing. But let's talk about some banking relationships that are not beneficial, because I told you it comes down to being qualified. We got that covered in relationships. Now let's look at some relationships. Citibank. Citibank is the fourth largest bank in terms of assets in the United States. And many consumers have their personal credit cards like the Citi Double Cash Back card. And I do have this exact card on my personal side too. But for business funding, it's a no-go because they only have two options for their business credit cards. You see here on the screen the Citi Advantage Business World Elite MasterCard. It has an annual fee, which the first year is a $0 entry annual fee, but it's $99 after the first year. Then they have a Costco card, but they don't have any other cards like that build regular points for the most part, because with this Costco card, you have to have an active Costco membership. Costco may not be in your area. You may not want to go to Costco. Maybe Sam's Club is your joint, or maybe you don't like going to either one of these. All right. So if you don't, this doesn't really help you. This is kind of nuance. Most of the business credit cards, especially the ones that offer 0% interest and a 0% introductory rate, they have something that pretty much anybody could take advantage of. So it's a big issue. They don't have that many options. Since they only have two options, they don't have that many options. That's already an issue. And another issue is that they don't offer a 0% introductory rate for any period of time. They both have annual fees. I told you the first one is a $0 the first year, but after that you're gonna pay $99 every single year that you have it. Costco is no annual fee. My bad. I thought both of those had. My bad. So no, they don't. I'm gonna take that one off. My bad, y'all. I ain't gonna. My bad, Citibank. My bad. But look, either way, there are much better options for 0% business credit cards. And I'm telling you this because you may have that Citi card and you say, okay, Colin said, let me go off of the banks that I got. And you may go straight to Citi and apply for this. And then boom, you're just not getting the better options out there. And they're not known to give the highest limits. So if you're looking for a 15, 20, 25K plus 0% business credit card, you need to go elsewhere. Now, Discover is another bank. Many consumers have the Discover personal credit card. I have it too as well. There's over 50 million. They report to have over 50 million card holders. So a lot of people have their personal credit cards. But it's another bank that you don't want to go to. Really, you don't have an option to at this current time because they don't offer any business credit cards anymore. They used to. Comment below. Let me know if you remember the Discover business credit card. Well, it reported to the personal credit reports, and you do not want to do that. It's a no-go, all right? It's very important to only apply for business credit cards that do not report to your personal credit reports, because if they do report, you will be leaving out one of the major benefits of even using business credit cards in the first place. The beauty of using, at least one of the beauties of using a 0% business credit card in general, is because they don't report to the personal side. So if you're maxed out, say you got 50K out of 50K, you have an investment or whatever the case that Facebook ads, Instagram ads, whatever the case, and you done blew this thing out, it's maxed out. Well, it's not going to touch your personal credit score, so you can continue to get funding from other banks. But if it reports to the personal side, it's going to throw your utilization off. Now you can't apply for anything. Now you can't get a cashew on credit, all right, because your utilization is too high. Another bank is Capital One. Many consumers have a Capital One personal credit card. I do too, especially those that are looking to rebuild their personal profile, and that's what I did way back in 2015-ish or something like that. So like almost 10 years ago, pretty much, I got the Capital One Platinum card. When I was still kind of getting there, I was probably like a 680 or something back in those days. And yeah, I got a Capital One personal credit card. However, most of their business credit cards are known to not give higher limits. None of them offer a 0% introductory rate. And most of their business credit cards will report to the personal credit reports. Now, from what I'm seeing, apparently the Spark Cash Plus card And the Venture Business X cards do not report to the personal side, but I have not personally tested this, so I wouldn't try my luck with it because I've read an article, y'all, that said that the Capital One business credit cards no longer reported to the personal side. So I got one. It was at 5K at that time, but it did report. Then they slashed my limit to 3K randomly for no reason. Capital One is really bad with limits for the most part. Like if you get 30K with them, then you're doing really good. 30K is like super high. I haven't seen anybody with like a 50K or 100K limit with Capital One, even like the best of the best. It's probably possible. It probably goes up. I would have to look. I think their standard cards go up to 50K, but I haven't seen many people really get 50K with them. And normally your limit is a lot lower. That's why a lot of people call Capital One Crapital One. It's just a little thing that kind of goes around in this space. But either way, again, it's very important to not get business credit cards that report to the personal side. Again, you're leaving out one of the major benefits, so do not go to Capital One, even if you have that relationship already built. All right? And here are the cards right here. Just a screenshot, Venture X Business. This is their premium card here. So they do target prime customers. This is a good business credit card to have. Now, you must pay the balance in full every month. It's a charge card, but unlimited 10 times miles on hotels, rental cars. It looks like a good business credit card to have. And this is the one that reportedly does not report to the personal to your personal profile, but the rest of these bad boys, they're going to report. So say if you do get a high limit, 30K, it's going to report like a personal card on your business credit reports. And I cannot tell you how many times I've had clients tell me, oh man, I got this Capital One business credit card and I thought it wasn't going to report like my other business credit card, and I maxed it out, then my credit score went down, and so no. But you could just kind of pause the screen, kind of look at the options or go directly to the website. But I would say don't fool with it. 9 times out of 10, it's not really the best option unless you're looking for the charge cards, because the two that reportedly don't report their charge cards. Meaning, if you're not familiar with that, what a charge card is, think American Express Platinum and Gold card, where you don't have a preset spending limit. So when you get approved for the card, they don't give you an actual limit like 10K, 20K, 30K, or whatever the case. They just say, hey, no preset limit, and they kind of go by how much that you spend on a card. And you really do have a limit kind of in the background. Not like you can swipe it for a jet. Not like you can swipe it for 10 million. It's all good. They're going to go by your spending habits, but at least there is no preset spending limit. Anyways, local credit unions. Now, this may come to a surprise because I'm telling you to go off your relationships, right? But there's nuance to it. There's things that you got to pay attention to. And one thing is credit unions, because I see this a lot, especially online. Like a lot of people say credit unions, credit unions, credit unions. Yeah, okay. But a lot of them are not the best options for business funding. There are some great credit unions now, but think about it. Even like with a Navy Federal, they're not the best on the business side. Anybody that know what they know that Navy Federal is not the best option on the business side. So even them, and there's like some of the other credit unions that a lot of people go to for the personal side, they're not the best for business. And yeah, they're just not the best. And they oftentimes they require a hard pull just to join a credit union. They like to wait until you build a relationship with them specifically too. They don't really want you kind of hopping, especially with like the local and smaller credit unions. So you have to be careful with that. They're oftentimes not the best, regardless of what you hear on the internet, okay? And especially if you're trying to get there fast. Like if you're trying to get there fast and then you got to do a hard pull just to join a credit union, whether you can get it removed or not, still you got to do that. You got to establish a relationship a lot longer. Then the limits may not be the same as a bank that has billions of dollars to blow, you know what I mean, or to lend. And oftentimes they do not have a 0% introductory rate. Now, a lot of times, if you know, some of them are underwritten by Elon Financial. So I'm not talking about every single credit union. I'm just saying you have to be careful. If you're going by your relationships, you said, Colin said, go by my relationship. So I'm going to go to XYZ credit union that I've been with since I was 16 years old. Still does not mean that that's the best option for business funding for your business. Just saying. Oftentimes there's better options. It just is. Now you can speak to your local credit union to discuss those options that you have. And ask for data points like what the highest credit limits are. Well, what have you typically seen the highest credit limit be? Well, typically I only seen 15,000, and may not be the best option for you. Ask what bureau they pull from to make an informed decision. Every credit union is different, so I'm not saying every one, but oftentimes it's not a good option. All right, despite what you hear all the time about credit unions. All right, a lot of times y'all don't really need all these crazy banks and all of that, which I have no problem with that. I'll upload some videos talking about different banks and all that. I'm not saying that you don't have to or you shouldn't go to a credit union or diversify your funding portfolio with different banks. I'm just saying that sometimes y'all all over the place worried about all these different banks, but really you just need to learn how to optimize the relationships you already have better and some of the banks that you already know. If you knew what their lending criteria was, you knew how to get the highest limits from them, then you wouldn't have to worry about searching the internet up and down trying to find different credit unions and all that. Anyways, how to get 100K in business funding fast. This is the steps. So first, you'll go to bankbranchlocator.com. Now you're going to pull up your specific state down here in this map. Find banks by state, right? So where you at? Let me know where you at, and we're going to go to it. Typically, a lot of times I go to some states that have some good options. Let's go to Jersey. Shout out to New Jersey. Anybody from New Jersey? So notice what I did too, but let me go back. I went to New Jersey, and then I clicked here, New Jersey banks, and then I clicked largest banks in Jersey. I like to do this because it kind of puts the banks that I want to see right here. And what you can do too is you can literally look up your area code and do that. So say if for me, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, I can put in my address right here or my zip code and look at all the banks that's in this zip code. But you may have a major bank that's just not in your specific zip code, so I don't like doing that per se. But you can. But this is how I do it. I go to largest banks in New Jersey or whatever enter your state is. Now, even there, this could be flawed too, because you could have a major bank that's just it doesn't have that much presence. Like, for example, Citizens is in Florida, but if you go to largest banks in Florida, you don't see Citizens there because they don't have that many locations. You see, but there is a Citizens located inside of Florida. So you have to be careful. But either way, so, there's some nuance there, but you get it. This will help. If you do this will at least give you a good idea. Now we're here in Jersey. Let's look. What tier 1 banks do you have? Like a Chase, American Express, Citizens, GM Marcus, US Bank, PNC, Wells Fargo, just to name a few. Do you already have strong banking relationships with them first? So you could try to get funding from them because everyone listed here, they have 0% business credit cards, right? And you should try to really shoot for 4 banks or less if possible. Now with us, a lot of times we can get 100K just from one bank, just from Chase Bank, because we get 75K approvals, excuse me, with just one bank. Just one business credit card. Then we go for the second one for at least a minimum of 25K. Now we got 100K just from Chase, or like a Citizens giving us 50K. All right. Or we get 25K from one bank and then 75K from one bank. So it normally only takes us 2 banks, depending on the client, obviously, depending on the client. However, especially if you're doing this by yourself, you don't have access to business relationship managers, things like that, then I would try to do 4 or less with a 25K average within the bank. If you have the relationships, if you don't have them, then you're going to need to establish them. Right. And be strategic, because depending on the bank, you will likely need to open a business checking account and first, do that first and deposit funds in it before you go for funding. So, and you don't even have to do just a business checking account. You can further the relationship by opening a savings account opening a merchant account, start processing payments. These are the things that you need to do to start and establish a business relationship. All right. It's called a relationship. In a relationship, you date, you get to know each other, or not date. That's, I guess, as if you know, on an intimate level. But any relationship, you know, you have to know the person, right? You get to know the person, and that's no different in banking. So if you're trying to get to know this bank, you're trying to get money from them, give them money first. Y'all trying to get money from the banks, but you ain't trying to give them nothing first. Think about how that works. What would that sound like? So that's what you can do. And just doing that, you could pick one of the four strongest relationships you have, or go to one of the four stronger banks that give out business funding, and then boom, you got your 100K. But if you qualified, you already had the relationships, like my client Rasul, you can get that done in 48 hours. Now, does it sound like rocket science to you? Or you like, you know what? It don't sound that deep. I just don't have time to do it. I just don't want to do it. Then book a call with us. So what we're going to do, remove your increase, optimize your personal profile, create your custom funding blueprint, which is essentially what we're talking about here, is creating a funding strategy or a custom funding blueprint for you, our strategic funding blueprint. We're going to send out your applications to our business relationship managers. That's how we get those higher limits. So that way you're not at the mercy of the algorithm, because if you go online or even in a branch, they're just going to spit out whatever you give them. It doesn't matter what you put on the application. You still at the mercy of the algorithm. With the business relationship managers, we get to request a limit. Then after that, we'll talk about everything else that we need to do as far as, you know, removing inquiries again, even liquidating your business credit cards. We'll talk about all of that. So that's what it looks like if we work together. If you want one-on-one help, if you don't, it's all good too. You can book a call. Matter of fact, I'm going to take this form here and I'll have a link for it in the description. So that way you can get access to this. I would highly recommend it so you can have a visual, especially for you guys that are looking to create your own funding strategy. Matter of fact, let me open this up, because this is what I would use right here, so I can keep track of it. And I'm gonna give you access to this too, so you can write this down and know which banks you're looking at, keep up with your approvals, keep up with your amount, total amount funded. There's already formulas in here to keep track of all of this for you, like credit utilization. You can have that in here, put your scores in here, a checklist of what you're going to need for business structure. All that is on here on this form. So I'm going to put that resource in the description. And this is the fastest way. This is going to be the fastest way you can get access to 100K in funding, whether this be your first 100K or your additional 100K. Remember, you got to be qualified, got to have the relationships, either build them or build off the ones that you have.